Welcome to episode 3 of Trail Light Tours as we head from the east coast Kaikoura up and over the Lewis Pass towards Greymouth on the west coast. It's slightly lower than the Arthur's Pass and it passes through extensive unmodified beech forest from North Canterbury to the west coast. So we are currently staying at the Marua Hot Springs Thermal Resort. We were up at the Deer Valley dock campsite yesterday. Kane went for a big hike up into the bush and he was waist deep in snow and it was absolutely puking down there come about 5 o'clock. So we actually thought, bugger it, we better get down the hill a little bit. So we drove down at about 5:30, still snowing, and the road was pretty snowy. And then we stayed here at the thermal resort last night. So really beautiful spot actually. It's hot pool, sauna, yoga. I've been up and did some yoga this morning, and you get to stay on the site included in your little 24-hour access pass to the thermal hot pools. And we have woken up to heaps of snow. So this episode we're going to cover the Lewis Pass over to Greymouth, depending on what happens with the roads, because we might be stuck here for a few days if the snow keeps coming down like it is. Back to Christchurch via the Arthur's Pass, again depending on what our road conditions are like, and then we might cover off a bit of Christchurch as well, but check out the snow. So we're just checking the weather to see what's going on over the next few days in terms of the snow. And what have we got, babe?
Just under 85 centimetres for the next 3 days in this area.
So we have got heaps of snow coming where we are. I think, did you say Arthur's Pass had 1.5 metres?
Yeah, just under.
So Arthur's Pass, the way that we need to go to get back to Christchurch, has just under 1.5 metres of snow. And if you're wondering how we're keeping warm inside this camper, we are very lucky that we've got a 4 kilowatt diesel heater that we have had cranking all night. Our only issue is we don't have a fully insulated floor. They weren't fully insulated back in 2015 when this motorhome was built. They are now, thankfully. So a must-have is a nice warm floor, but we're surviving nicely with a big 4 kilowatt diesel heater cranking away. The Marua Hot Springs Thermal Resort and Spa is located just west of the summit of the Lewis Pass. It's a geothermal hot spring that rises from the Earth's centre at about 56 degrees, being mixed with cool water so that guests can enjoy bathing anywhere between 37 and 42 degrees. So it has not stopped raining here in the Lewis Pass since about 10 o'clock yesterday.
10 o'clock yesterday, yes, that's correct actually.
And we spent the whole day yesterday at the thermal pools. So basically you can camp there overnight in your self-contained motorhome, and you pay $75 per person, and that gives you all access to the resort, including the facilities, the yoga and sauna and stuff, and then and you can camp and you get the whole day included. But last night we came up to Marble Hill. How far was it? About 10 minutes? 10 minutes up from the thermal resort. So if you don't want to pay to stay down at the resort, you can come here and then just do a day pass down there if you wanted. There's actually some really great walks and stuff around here, but we're not going to do them obviously because it's pouring with rain and quite wet. So where are we off to?
Springs Junction.
We're going to head up the road to Springs Junction and check out what's on offer up there. We headed on from Springs Junction towards Reefton, a small old gold mining town about 80 k's northeast of Greymouth.
Good morning, my name's Shane Thrope from Reefton Distilling Co. Myself and my partner set this up back in 2018, and yeah, we wanted to do it to help grow Reefton again from being a small gold mining town and not just relying on the gold. So this is the first gin that we made back in October 2018.
Yep.
And it showcases the West Coast by the fresh botanicals that we use alongside the dry. And then we've added Centro Otago cherries for the flow and sweet notes, and we've got green and pink peppercorns to give a nice little mild spice. And the pears, hello. The pears, I used to be a high school teacher and I wasn't a boring one.
Yeah, I could imagine actually.
And
you don't teach anymore?
No, too busy.
Too busy here,
but
right.
I got like 6 students that do my labelling.
Oh yeah.
So still get to interact with them.
Yeah, cool.
The company's gin is named after the Reefton legend Little Biddy, a gin-toting 4-foot-tall gold prospector. On the main street of Reefton, this distilling co is well worth a visit, and don't be surprised if you walk away with a few bottles of tasty gin. So we're driving along on the highway between Greymouth, the west coast, and Reefton. We come across this little sign saying Old Mining Town, head right 17 k's. So we thought, well, let's go check it out. Well, we were in for a little bit of an adventure. The road is certainly not for the faint-hearted. We were winding our way up on a very narrow gravel road. I'm in the passenger seat, holding on, looking down, and I can see like a 20-meter drop down into this gushing river below. I didn't squeal, but there were a few times where I thought, oh my gosh, are we doing the right thing here? Well, the town really is worth a look. The town is called Waiuta, and that means inland river. So Waiuta has a rich history spanning 45 years, from 1905 to 1951. It's the most productive gold mine on the west coast and the second richest in New Zealand, resulting in $450 million worth of gold by 1980 standards. Remnants of the old mining town remain. Rugby was a key feature for the local residents, and the football field still stands today. So in 1936, the mine actually expanded into the northern property, and they built the Prohibition Shaft. From there was an aerial cable where the quartz were bucketed down to the main town where you see us driving around. That aerial was 1.5 k's long. And of course, Kane wanted to go up, further down up the gravel road and check it out. Now this road is certainly not for the faint-hearted. Definitely worth a look if you are planning on motorhoming around this region, but just remember that there isn't much turning, well, there's nowhere to turn around. If you commit to the road, you will be rewarded with an awesome history tour of the town Waiuta. We've just come from Reefton, where we caught up with Shane from the Reefton Distilling Co, and he recommended that we come here to Blackball Inn and Cafe. It's in a town about 25 k's north of Greymouth, originally established in the 1860s as a mining town. And we're going to stay here the night. So the Blackball Cafe and Inn is actually owned by Nick, who was Shane's first distiller of gin, and you can park in the car park here, 20 bucks, or sorry, 18 bucks it was actually, for a powered site. or free if you don't need power. So great place to stop, and we'll let you know what we get up to. Just some fun facts that I picked up from the Blackball Museum is that this area is actually the home of the New Zealand Labour Party, or the New Zealand Labour Party as we know it now. So back in 1908, a couple of the miners here went on strike for a few months, debating or demanding, I guess, 30 minutes of paid lunch break. And from that point, 1908 onwards, they sort of began to form the Labour Party. And I think in 1913, a few of the members actually sat in the New Zealand Parliament. So for some fun little interesting facts that you can pick up if you visit Blackball and come through here. We did eat lunch at the Blackball Inn, where we stayed overnight in the Parkover property, and there's also the once used to be known as the Hilton, the Blackball Hilton or something like that. There must have been a dispute over them using the name Blackball Hilton. So check those two places out on your next motorhome trip through this area.
There is still a fair bit more rough stuff to come. Thunderstorms, strong damaging, there's a bit of everything. And of course, the big elephant in the room has been that big surge of blue I know I've shown over the last couple of days from Antarctica.
So as you know, our plan for this little excursion was to go from Kaikoura up over the Lewis Pass to Greymouth, and then from Greymouth over the Arthur's Pass back to Christchurch. But unfortunately, the weather just has not been playing ball. So we've had like thunderstorms, torrential rain, hail, we've encountered snow, we've encountered like 50-knot winds gusting even more than that. Thankfully, little Trail Light, our Trail Light motorhome Betty, has been looking after us very well, and we haven't had any signs of the storm inside her. But we are unfortunately unable to go back over the Arthur's Pass. So what we're going to do is we're going to brave a bit of the storm, head from Blackball where we are now, and head back over the Lewis Pass, just see how far we make it this afternoon. So we'll check back in with you and decide where we end. So we've just spent last night at Slab Creek, just a little bit west of Reefton, and now we're heading over the Lewis Pass and back to Christchurch. Obviously we wanted to go over the Arthur's Pass, but the weather just hasn't allowed us to do that. So we're coming for you, Trail Light Branch, and looking forward to seeing Vanessa and Brian. We were lucky enough to be treated with lovely blue skies as we headed back over the Lewis Pass towards Christchurch. We caught up with Brian and Vanessa and the team at Trail Light Christchurch. They've got a great display there of motorhomes and caravans, and also, thankfully for us, a couple of service technicians who were able to help us out with a couple of issues that we had experienced in our motorhome. From Christchurch, we headed to Waikuku on the coast, where there was the promise of some waves, a nice beach holiday park, and hopefully some sunny weather.
Don't let anyone tell you you're too old.
You! Okay, so what have we been up to for the last few days? So we were in, was it Blackball, babe?
Blackball, yeah.
We were in Blackball.
So much.
And our water pump failed. So, no, we weren't. We were in Reefton.
Oh,
So we were in Blackball, then we went to just out of Reefton. We stayed at this lovely dock campsite.
Slab Hut Creek.
Slab Hut Creek, gold mining. Kane actually met a little gold miner panning for gold. So we stayed there and we were just cooking dinner and our water pump failed. So we couldn't have showers or use our water. It was all good though because we've got like a little drainage tap for our water tank on the bottom of our motorhome just there. And so we were able to do the dishes and whatnot. But we thought, we'll head for Christchurch. We'll have a chat with Brian and Vanessa and see if they can help us out. So we did a 3.5 hour drive from there to Christchurch, Reefton to Christchurch, over the Lewis Pass, and we were so blessed because it ended up being quite a nice day and we were able to see what we couldn't see coming back, over to the west. So that was great. And the Christchurch crew were amazing. Christchurch Trail Light helped us out, fixed our water pump, and we stayed on the yard and hung out with them for the night, last night. And now we have come back to the coast and we are staying in Waikuku and at the campground here. We enjoyed a few nights at the Waikuku Beach Holiday Resort to wrap up our Canterbury leg of the tour. From now, we're catching up with friends and heading towards Methven, Lake Camp and Tekapo. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Subscribe to make sure you get notified of our next adventure coming your way soon.